You're looking at 10 of the most gorgeous classic cars ever built. Absolute head-turners. The kind of machines that make people stop and stare. But here's what they don't tell you at the auction. These things will drain your bank account faster than a bad divorce. We're not talking about cars that are just unreliable. We're talking about engineering nightmares that make mechanics walk away. Rope drives, high-pressure hydraulics that can cut you. One of these cars destroyed a company's reputation forever, and someone out there is trying to buy one right now. Are you brave enough to put a wrench on these, or will you run for the hills? Let's start with John DeLorean's wild experiment. The 1961 to 1963 Pontiac Tempest looked normal enough from the outside. But underneath, DeLorean decided to get creative. Instead of a conventional drive shaft, he used a flexible steel cable inside a torque tube, literally a rope drive. The idea was to reduce weight and lower the floor. The transaxle sat in the rear for better weight distribution. On paper, brilliant. In reality, a nightmare that haunts mechanics to this day. That flexible drive shaft works fine when everything is perfectly balanced. The moment something goes slightly out of spec, it starts whipping around like a jump rope at highway speeds. The vibrations will shake your fillings loose. And here's the fun part. Accessing the clutch means dropping practically the entire drivetrain. The special tools required to work on this system haven't been manufactured in 40 years. Good luck finding a mechanic who even knows what they're looking at. Most shops will turn you away the moment you mention rope drive. DeLorean was a genius, but this thing proves that genius and practicality don't always shake hands. The Mercedes-Benz 600 Grosser from 1963 to 1969 was the ultimate status symbol. Dictators loved it. Heads of state demanded it. It was engineering excellence wrapped in leather and chrome. But that engineering excellence came with a price that keeps climbing decades later. Everything in this car runs on a 150-bar high-pressure hydraulic system Mercedes called Comfort Hydraulic. Windows, seats, trunk, suspension, all of it powered by hydraulic pressure. When it works, it's magnificent. When it doesn't, you're looking at repair bills that could buy a decent used car. The hydraulic fluid is corrosive. The seals deteriorate and leak. And here's the scary part. If a high-pressure line blows while you're working on it, that fluid comes out with enough force to slice through skin. This isn't a job for a mechanic. It's a job for a hydraulic specialist with insurance. Fixing a single window mechanism can run $3,000. Want to restore the whole system? Better have 50 grand sitting around just for the hydraulic work. Beautiful car. Absolute money pit. The 1901 to 1963 Oldsmobile F85 Jetfire holds a special place in history. Along with the Corvair Spider, it was the first turbocharged production car in America. Oldsmobile strapped a turbo to their aluminum 215 V8 and called it the Turbo Rocket. The problem was that turbo technology in 1962 wasn't ready for prime time. To prevent detonation in that high-compression aluminum engine, Oldsmobile added a water methanol injection system. They called it turbo rocket fluid. Owners were supposed to refill it regularly. Nobody did. The turbo plumbing was complicated for the era, and most mechanics had never seen anything like it. The aluminum block would warp if it overheated even slightly. Most dealers couldn't diagnose problems properly. You know what happened to most Jetfires? Mechanics ripped the turbo off and bolted on a regular 4-barrel carburetor because they couldn't figure out how to fix it. Finding an unmolested Jetfire today is almost impossible because most of them got converted back to normally aspirated engines 50 years ago. The Jaguar E-Type is widely considered the most beautiful car ever made. Enzo Ferrari himself called it the prettiest car he'd ever seen. But beauty comes with suffering, and the Series 1 E-Type from 1961 to 1969 will make you suffer plenty. Those gorgeous lines hide some engineering decisions that will have you cursing British engineers. The rear brakes are mounted inboard, right next to the differential. Sounds clever for reducing unsprung weight. In practice, changing the rear brake pads often means dropping the entire independent rear suspension subframe. That's a full day's labor just to do a brake job. Then you've got triple SU carburetors that need to be balanced perfectly. Getting all three synchronized is a dark art that takes years to master. And we haven't even mentioned Lucas Electrics, the Prince of Darkness himself. Random electrical failures are just part of E-Type ownership. Is it worth bleeding knuckles for beauty? That's a question every E-Type owner asks themselves eventually. The 1966 to 1969 Oldsmobile Toronado was a technological marvel. A massive 425 cubic inch V8 making 385 horsepower, and all of it going through the front wheels. Front wheel drive with big block power. Oldsmobile was showing off. The transmission is where things get complicated. The 425 is split in half with the torque converter on one side of the engine and the gearbox tucked underneath. It's chain-driven and packed into an engine bay that's already stuffed with that huge V8. Working on anything in there requires small hands, patience, and creative language. The CV joints take a beating from all that torque. They wear out faster than you'd expect, and replacing them isn't cheap. Pulling the transmission is a massive labor job compared to any rear-wheel drive car. Brutal to maintain. The 1964 to 1969 Maserati Quattroporte was Italy's answer to high-performance luxury sedans. They took a race-derived V8 and detuned it slightly for daily driving. 4 Weber carburetors fed that exotic engine. Hand-built Italian craftsmanship throughout. It sounds wonderful until something breaks. Parts availability is essentially non-existent. Because everything was hand-built, parts from one Quattroporte might not fit another Quattroporte of the same year. The wiring is distinctly Italian, which means it follows its own logic that German and American mechanics simply don't understand. Just tuning those 4 Weber carburetors properly takes a full day of work. The labor rates for Maserati specialists are measured in hundreds of dollars per hour. This is the definition of if you have to ask what it costs, you can't afford it. The Quattroporte is a car for collectors with deep pockets and dedicated mechanics on retainer. Everyone else should admire it from a safe distance. The early Chevrolet Corvair from 1961 to 1963 was genuinely innovative. Rear engine, air-cooled, affordable transportation that broke every American automotive convention. It was also Ralph Nader's favorite target. And while his criticisms were overblown, the Corvair does have legitimate maintenance challenges. The air-cooled flat 6 sits in the back, and the cooling fan belt has to make a 90-degree turn to work. Rev the engine wrong, and that belt can fly off, leaving you stranded with an overheating engine. The pushrod tube O-rings harden over time and start leaking oil. That oil drips directly onto hot exhaust components, creating lovely smoke and fumes inside the cabin. Working on a Corvair requires understanding air-cooled engine tolerances, which is specialized knowledge outside of VW circles. Most mechanics today have never worked on anything air-cooled. Finding someone who actually knows Corvairs is getting harder every year. Unsafe at any speed? Probably not. Unsafe for your wallet? The 1970 to 1909 Cadillac Eldorado took the Toronado's front-wheel drive platform and added Cadillac's particular brand of complexity. Where Oldsmobile kept things relatively simple, Cadillac engineers added vacuum-operated accessories everywhere. The hideaway headlights operate on vacuum. Climate controls run on vacuum. Various convenience features depend on vacuum. And 50-year-old vacuum lines are brittle, cracked, and leaking on every single surviving Eldorado. The engine bay looks like a snake pit of rubber hoses, going in every direction. When vacuum leaks develop, and they will, the engine idles rough, accessories stop working, and diagnosing the problem requires hours of smoke testing to find every crack. One leaky line causes symptoms in systems that seem completely unrelated. Mechanics who understand vacuum systems on these cars are a dying breed. Most shops will quote you labor just to figure out what's wrong before they even start fixing anything. The Citroën DS from 1968 to 1969 in US specification was French engineering at its most ambitious. Hydropneumatic suspension, power everything. A design that looked like it came from the future. American mechanics in the 1960s looked at these cars and had absolutely no idea where to start. Everything runs off a central high-pressure hydraulic pump. Brakes, steering, suspension, even the gear change. When that system works, the DS floats down the road like nothing else. When the pump fails, the car literally drops to the ground and becomes immovable. You can't even tow it easily because the suspension is collapsed. The brake pedal is actually a button that takes months to get used to. The hydraulic fluid is specific to Citroën and not interchangeable with anything else. Finding a mechanic in America who understands hydropneumatic systems is nearly impossible outside of major cities. The DS is brilliant, beautiful, and will leave you stranded in ways you never imagined. Colin Chapman's philosophy was simplify, then add lightness. The 1963 to 1969 Lotus Elan embodied this perfectly. Tiny, agile, pure driving pleasure. It also embodied the reality that lightweight engineering creates unique maintenance nightmares. The body is fiberglass, which means you cannot ground electrical components to the body like every other car. Every single electrical part needs its own dedicated ground wire running back to the battery. When grounds corrode, and they will, you get phantom electrical failures that are almost impossible to diagnose. The backbone chassis is steel and it rusts silently inside the fiberglass body. You can't see the damage until structural failure is imminent, and the car is physically tiny. Anyone with normal-sized hands will struggle to reach anything. Mechanics charge premium rates for Elan work because everything takes 3 times longer than it should. Lightness has its price. There you have it. 10 cars that prove ambition sometimes runs way ahead of engineering reality. Rope drives and high-pressure hydraulics and vacuum nightmares and systems that mechanics simply refuse to touch. These cars pushed boundaries. They tried things nobody else would attempt, and they created maintenance headaches that last generations. But here's the thing, we still love them. Because they're special. Because they're different. Because driving something ordinary is boring. Have you ever owned a nightmare classic? Tell me your horror story in the comments. Did you fix it or did you sell it and run? Hit subscribe if you prefer your cars to start when you turn the key. I'll catch you in the next one.